So there was some discussion, as we shared with the board and with the SELS Advisory Committee. There was a major disagreement between the consultant and me. The consultant felt that the implementation plan was a staff document, and that's where it should stay. And I very much argued that it needed to be a public document that was shared with both advisory committees and this group and went out on the web, and people could ask questions so that short snippets of phrases could then have questions and we could answer them. It basically came down to me telling the consultant that since I was signing the check, I got to do with the plan. And it really did take a number of staff members to reinforce what I was saying, that this organization really does share this kind of information all the time. And so I think it's just one of those things. It was the consultant reacting to the fact that as they have done implementation plans around the country, the implementation plans are the internal laundry list for the staff. It's not shared as widely as we tend to share things. So this has gone through 2 days of work with the consultant who actually came down and worked with the staff. It's gone through a review then that it was sent back to the consultants that did not come back on site after the retreat, but who have seen this and have done the same kind of thing where they ask questions and help with wording. And you'll see that some of the things, this was initially intended to be a one-year plan, but some of the stuff is just going to take multiple years because we know that it takes longer to do it, or that it's a financial situation. Donovan wants to upgrade all of the telecommunications connections at all the public libraries. We can't do it in 1 year. We will probably take the life of the plan. So why not just say it's the life of the plan, because unless we get a whole lot of money real quick, it's not going to happen sooner than that. So, but it was an interesting point of discussion with our consultant. So the next thing that this happens is it'll go to the SELCO Advisory Committee. The SELS Advisory Committee had a really nice discussion about it last week. And then it will go to the board, but not for approval, just more as an information item also so that they know what we're working on.
Do you have anything else, Michael? Does anyone have any further questions?
I have one more thing to add. There is supposed to be, we're supposed to be getting from our consultant firm, an online dashboard where they're going to put everything from the plan into this dashboard, and it has, I don't know, slider buttons or radio buttons or something that actually track the progress. So that'll be a way for us much more easily, rather than typing it all into a table, fourth quarter something's been done. I haven't seen the tool yet. I've seen a paper copy of 1 page of a sample dashboard. It looked cool. So I'm waiting to get this online version, but the person who's working on the data right now is in Africa. And when he gets back, he's supposed to be working on this with us. But again, a neat tool that I think we will certainly, as we've made the implementation plan public, we will make the tool public so that you can see as we're posting things.
Thanks, Dan. We will move on to the enterprise update and demonstration. Tyler.
Actually, I'm going to have this start out with Donovan. He's going to talk a little bit about a slideshow he created with it.
I know everyone wants to get right into the software, but we've got to talk just a little bit about the process first. So I'll try to make this as quick and painless as possible. So I suspect the question that's on everybody's mind is, are we still launching? Yes. We're going to go on April 1st over my dead body if necessary. There have been times I thought maybe that's what it was going to take. So there are a number of issues that we need to talk about. And eBooks heads the list. We are not going to be launching with Cersei Dynix's eResource Central product. We've purchased it. We have it. There are a couple of problems that are preventing us from using it right now. The first one is a known SERCI Dynex defect. They've actually assigned it a defect log number. That's how they track software problems. That involves search for ebooks in consortia using Horizon. So this is a fairly specialized problem that seems to have gotten through their testing or possibly got recently broken. I'm not really sure which of it is. But the problem is that each library has its own profile in Horizon. So you've got your own URL. People will go to that profile. It's got your banner. It searches just your collection. Ebooks can't be searched in those profiles. You can only find the ebooks through ERC in the SELCO profile that searches all collections. And that's kind of a killer. So SERCI Dynex has given it a defect number. They have not told us when it might be fixed. It's not listed as being targeted for any specific release, which tells me that they don't really know how to fix it yet. So they're still investigating that problem. The other problem that we have is there is a problem with the one-click downloads, which is the major benefit of the ERC software. And this problem has to do with patron barcodes. In Enterprise, when you click the title of the ebook, it sends information off to Overdrive to pull the books down. It sends the patron number from the database, which is a database record number. It's not the same as the patron barcode, which is in a separate field. Oddly enough, Symphony uses patron numbers for almost everything. So this is pretty clearly something that was designed with Symphony in mind and wasn't properly tested in Horizon. They have said that that's going to be fixed in the next general release. But until we get both of the problems fixed, we're really kind of dead in the water. So we have reverted back to an older way of doing things, which is that we have created item records for all of the ebooks. That way they will show up in your individual profiles. But clicking the links will take you to the Overdrive website, much as is happening now in Aqua Browser. So we're not stepping backwards at least, but we're also not leaping forward like we had hoped. We did a lot of bibliographic cleanup, and when I say we, I mean Cheryl and the cataloging team. They had to do cleanup on the format information in about 25% of our bib records. That's approximately 250,000. Some of them had incorrect cataloging data for the formats, but I think a lot more, the problem was simply that they did not conform with how Enterprise uses format data. There are multiple ways to put format data in a bib record. Enterprise has one way that it looks for that, and unfortunately that's not the way we picked, apparently, for a lot of our bib records. So a lot of cleanup had to get done. They've added the item records for ebooks that I just mentioned. That was approximately 386,000 item records. It was an automated process. No one actually hit enter 386,000 times, but it was still a complex, lengthy task. And after we get launched, then work will be ongoing to fix some similar issues with some records in the areas of language, audience levels, and MPAA ratings. So this has been quite a task for the catalogers. How did the Enterprise Feedback Forum work? It worked great. That is one of the bright, shining successes of this project, I think. We had 149 posts that were divided into 33 threads, and there were just over 1,100 views of the forum. A lot of the issues that we have put down on our known issues list were identified by people in the forums. That is our tracking system for things that we can try and fix, as opposed to SERCI Dynex's problems. I also think in a less tangible way, this will make the launch go smoother because we have already had many of the conversations that we would otherwise have had starting April 2nd. Certainly not everyone has been to the forums and participated, but enough people have that I think we'll all see a benefit from already having some of these conversations and already having some understanding of how the catalog works and why it was done that way out there among users at many of our libraries. So I think I can say with some confidence that we will continue using this kind of tool for future large projects. We may or may not use Google Groups as the tool, but we will continue to use feedback forms because it does seem to be working very well. What did we learn from the usability testing? We had 4 testing sites, and big thanks to those sites that helped us. That was Kellogg Middle School, Red Wing Public Library, Zimbrota Mazeppa School, and Lake City Public. We had a total of 12 testers, half of whom were library staff, half of whom were patrons, so 6 of one, half a dozen of another. And we had a total of 3 scenarios for each tester, so that was a total of 36. These covered the gamut of functionality. Some of the scenarios were quite simple. Find these 3 items. Others were much more complicated and required multiple steps. Find a science fiction DVD. You don't know the name, but you know that it was released last year. That was the most complex of the scenarios. Out of the 36 scenarios, 24 were completed successfully by the tester within 90 seconds. So we took a lot of heart from that. 9 more were completed successfully, but it took longer than that, which I wouldn't call it a failure necessarily of the software, not the tester. But I would also say that they were not as successful as quickly as we would have liked. So those are sort of yellow flags for us to keep looking at. And then 3 scenarios were not completed successfully at all. And interestingly enough, all 3 of those were that last scenario I mentioned, the one that required you to find a sci-fi DVD published last year without knowing the name of it. There are multiple ways in Enterprise of getting that, and we saw the testers use all of them. But every single method requires multiple steps, and in 3 cases they were not successful. So that's something for us to keep looking at.
I also take blame for that. I wrote that one way too hard. I scenario.
But it was a real life scenario. So I thought it was a good one, but it was a hard one. So that's something we'll keep looking at. But having said that, I'm still pretty optimistic by the success rate that we saw. Doesn't mean these results are going to be applied equally to the entire user base of patrons, but still it's something. So after we launch on April 1st, what's going to happen next? We will still have some known issues. We are trying to fix as many things as possible before we launch, but there are going to be a few things that get by or just cannot be resolved quickly enough. Some of those come from Cersei Dynex problems. Some of them come from just issues that we need to look at. So we will continue working on those. We will have to make some enhancement requests to Cersei Dynex to get some of those issues taken care of. They have a formal enhancement process that runs through their users group, so we are participating in that. We've had a few conversations in a very broad, vague, hypothetical kind of way about tapping libraries to assist in the development of further content rooms. Expect for that conversation to be reinitiated after we launch. My hope is that we can get a cadre of people together who are interested in developing rooms on various topics for inclusion in the catalog. All the rooms are optional, though. Each library can pick and choose the ones that they want. We will get the ebooks and the ERC problems fixed, but we're kind of dependent upon Cersei Dynex for that. We will continue general development. We do not see the catalog as standing still. The state that it's in on April 1st is as good as we can make it right now, but we do not intend to stand still, and we will continue working, albeit maybe not quite with the intensity that we've been working on it in the last couple of months. And finally, this is more of an internal thing for SELCO. For the SELCO help desk, we will begin to develop solutions that can go into our help desk management software so that eventually we have more than 2 people who can actually answer questions about how Enterprise works. That's all I've got.
Sean.
Yes.
Sorry, what is that?
E-Resources Center. That's the ebook software that's supposed to provide the one-click downloads.
Sure.
Yeah.
2 or 3 months ago when we had the first preview of Enterprise, since that preview, has there been an upgrade where some of the things actually were changed or broken?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was told that.
Yes, there have been at least 2 upgrades, I believe.
Only one since then.
Oh, just one? Okay. There was one, I think, right before we launched that
When I
period.
first saw the patron request thing, was pretty good, but I saw it today and I'm going, what?
Are you referring to the register button or something else?
Requesting an item with your specific library in mind. It wasn't defaulting to the local library even when you logged in. It was defaulting to SELCO. And that wasn't the case way back when.
There was an issue with that where it got broken. We actually made some changes to that, but it was more than just today. That was, what, about a week ago that you got the default?
Okay.
Yeah, last week we made some changes that affected that.
And that broke it then.
That upgrade, I think, broke it. I think it did work before that.
Okay.
It worked before the upgrade.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, this is great.
It worked before the upgrade.
Okay.
The upgrade broke it. We made some tweaks to make it better. So
Okay.
if we're on the same wavelength, what I think you're talking about is when you place a request right now, the default pickup location was defaulting to SELCO. That happened as a result of an upgrade.
Okay.
Tyler was able to do some wizardry that has changed it. So at least now when you place a request, the pickup location will default to the profile of the library that you're in.
It did work 3 hours ago.
Which profile we're looking at?
Oh,
Okay. We'll check on that. It was working this morning when I looked at it.
like I said,
But everything has to be done for every profile. So
okay.
it's possible you've caught one that got biased. We need to check on that. That is not as good as having it default to the patron's home location, which is what we would like, and we are pestering Cersei Dynix on that. But at least that's better than having them default to SELCO. Yes?
Jonathan, I have a question about those YouTubes that were sent out to you.
Yeah.
Okay, one of my staff members watched them today and then had me listen to them, and I don't know if it's just our,
Two were good,
two that were
good audio, and 2 were bad audio. You can barely hear them.
I'll have to check on that.
Something about the device.
The two that we found were my account and something, and then the searching, and the sound in them, it sounds very hollow.
Echoey in the background. And they can't get the volume up loud enough to really understand.
Okay,
well,
I'll have to check with Rachel on that. The videos are going to be getting redeveloped because everything is changing on a fairly quick basis now. So.
Well, the two that the sound works on, those are really nice.
Okay. I'll check on that
Okay.
and make sure that gets fixed. Okay, anything else before we go on to the actual software? Tyler and I are just going to switch places because it's easier than trying to move the laptop and possibly have the battery drop out.
Okay, I don't really know what to show you guys anymore, as I've demonstrated this for several of you about 4 or 5 times now. But we have made some changes as we've gone along. Also, I'm currently working on profile customization for all of our libraries. I have 45 of them who have submitted all 3 surveys, and their profiles have been customized at this point. So waiting on the other, what would that be, 33 to fill out all 3 surveys and send them back to me. I will be sending out reminder emails probably tomorrow at this point. Otherwise, the profile will go as it currently is when we go to live. I'm just going to show you some features that we have been working on that I think are rather nifty. Okay, when we search a specific site, it does default to your location as the first one. We were able to create a button up here on top of the search results that if you are searching for a location and you don't find your results, you can automatically expand to all locations. This should preserve anything that's used in the widgets or any other search terms. You don't need to start the search over again. Yeah, that was interesting trying to figure out how to do that. I had to teach myself JavaScript again. Let's see, what other fun features have we been working on? As Donovan mentioned, we have done something for the pickup location, and I'm going to test it live just to see what happens, because you know how this always blows up in your face when you do this. I don't know if that's actually your card number, but I'm going to use mine.
11013.
I'll use mine.
Okay.
And the register button just randomly started appearing a few days ago. I will fix that.
Oh, that was the first I saw that.
Yeah, we think some tweaks we did.
I think that was the fix for the pickup location. And, yep, defaulted to Owatonna Public Library for its pickup location, since we're in the Owatonna profile.
You might have caught us in the window where we were fixing that, but hadn't
That was
gotten
just 3 hours ago. They showed me. Oh, of course. Show me.
I'm not sure.
I can just not now it.
Did you place the request and then
Yes.
does it
And
like
when we
save
went
the
back
last
in-
place you did a pickup location so that if the first time you go in, it will go to SELCO?
It will save if you logged in the SELCO profile and then switch to the Owatonna one. It will keep you as SELCO for the default pickup location.
Oh.
I found that there's nothing I can do about that one again.
Oh, okay. We did start it there. We started with the SELCO profile, found the item, then logged in, and it was SELCO, and went back in it. Again, it was at SELCO for the request. Okay. So we said, oh boy, SELCO's going to get lots of stuff out there that never land.
Yeah. A few things on the display. You will notice that we have changed the format icons that we are currently using. Cheryl also did some wizardry to be able to separate out Blu-rays from DVDs, which normally appear under the same collection in Enterprise.
An audiobook and music CD.
Yeah. And a couple other ones we were doing some unconventional cataloging on to make sure they appear properly in Enterprise. We are actually using what was a NASA format for one of them.
We don't talk about that.
Okay.
Too much information.
As long as it's NASA and not NSA.
Yeah.
It's a node we're never going to use
You
here.
haven't told us about the NSA connection here, guys.
It's a node we'll never use. So.
Okay, other things. Sirius is now working properly. That was something I was working on and then didn't get ready before we went to beta, so I finally sat down and fixed it. So it mostly works now. The issue with it before was also searching the number, so that really limited results. Horizon used to do that too, if you remember correctly. I don't know. What else is there to talk about in that?
Could you just refresh us when you're looking at the results here, the call number is pulling from?
No one knows.
So that's not Owatonna.
That is a known issue right now.
Okay.
That is something I just heard back from Cersei Dynex late last night, that she was able to replicate the problem. She can't figure out what's causing it, so it might be that we have to remove call number from displays, because it is not being consistent at this point.
That was another issue I brought.
How is it supposed to work? It is
It is
supposed to the profile?
It is set up on the profile. We put in the code for your library, and it is supposed to pull up the first item for that library if it is available. If it isn't, we don't know where it goes, but if you're doing a location-based limit, it should always be your call number, or at least one of your call numbers.
The other problem, the field for the call number isn't long enough, so it was dropping off all the stuff where you get new collection, mystery collection, that type of thing was not, even though a call number was there, the rest of the information was not there as well.
In this display or in
In
the
this
email
display. In this display.
That's
why
Yeah, we haven't heard that one before,
Yeah.
so we'll take a look at it.
There's, a lot of places have the new books and the fiction books and the special collection.
There's probably a character limit set on call number that we may or may not be able to adjust. I would think we hopefully could.
Yeah, I can adjust that one. It's the pickup location itself that I'm having issues with adjusting, and so is Cersei Dynex.
Sorry, one other question while we're looking at it, sort of related. You know, we've talked a little bit about if it says available, it'll say it if it's available anywhere. That's correct, right? And that's why it's no
Availability
longer.
number? On the
That's
picture.
why we decided to
That's why we
remove from
took it out.
available.
Correct.
Okay. Is it possible to have some text that says check availability, where it would just be a dead link to?
That's a
All
meeting
library.
ending or someone joining?
No, I think it was probably someone.
Well, a dead link that goes to...
Well, just that my concern would be that, you know, someone sees the call number, they don't know the availability, so maybe they'll go look for it without knowing whether it's actually available or not.
We had quite a conversation about that in the forum.
Never mind then. I don't want to rehash something that's been said.
No, it's okay. Because we raised that very same issue, and we got a lot of responses on both sides of that. Some saying that it would still be useful. Actually, I don't know if we got any response on the other side, but we certainly share that concern.
I'm not necessarily talking put it back and put the number. I'm saying if you just had a link that said check availability, which is just the same as if you hit detail status from the title, so that people at least have like a breadcrumb so they think, oh, I don't necessarily know what's available. I have to actually check. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I don't know if
Put the text in, but I don't know if I can make it a link. Because I'm not sure how the links actually work to bring up the detail display.
yeah, it'd have to be generated per title, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It wouldn't just be static. It would be dynamic.
No, it had to be done with a JavaScript widget. And I could put the text in for sure, but figuring out how the link works, I might be able to do that. But if we can't display call number, that might not be that big of an issue.
Because, yeah.
Right. I mean, I do think if you can get the call number fixed, that is, it's nice to have, because I think a lot of people really want that.
That's our real hope, is to get that fixed. That was something we did not have in Aqua Browser that I know everybody wanted. So we were pretty excited to have that functionality and pretty disappointed when it didn't work.
In that original catalog horizon, we have not only call number, was it anybody?
You had the items, your item information, right? Is it you're talking about? Yep. Yeah, you had your item for your profile, your call number, your status, location, I think was in there too. Yeah.
The Cersei Dynex has acknowledged this as a defect, so at some point I believe it will be fixed, but I can't tell you when.
Another one of their promises.
Well, yeah, they're usually pretty good about getting the defects. It's just you don't know when it's going to happen.
Sure.
All right. Other than that, I don't think I have anything more on displays. We do have a full set of rooms out there for libraries to choose from when they go ahead and create their profiles.
Can I just say something on that real quick? The home room display you see here is on the SELCO profile is really atypical. We've got pretty much all the rooms that we've ever created up there. That's not something we'll be doing in production, so don't look at that and be alarmed.
Yes, this is all of them so people can see all of the working rooms. Well, all of them that are working. I do have one or two hidden that I'm having troubles with. But you can see we have all those in here. For example, the science fiction fantasy one. Come in here, get a little preview of books, suggestions for reading, some pre-established searches that will search in the catalog for these topics.
When it displays those, are those local to that library? Is it automatically reforming that, or is that?
It is for the entire collection.
For the entire collection. Okay. Yeah.
We have been investigating ways to take the plugins that were developed for the WordPress websites and put them in there, but that has been a challenge. Getting the JavaScript to run is an issue, so we're still pursuing that. I don't know if we'll ever be able to do it or not, but that would be ideal.
Wait, I'm sorry. What did you ask? If you click on like the mysteries room, is all the mystery
Right.
stuff?
The mystery is actually local to that library profile.
Display.
So what I'm thinking is, are they actually seeing the mystery that that library actually holds, or are you now gone from the local collection to the whole collection, and the patron then, you know?
If you're talking about just the graphical display,
We'd have to create a separate room.
Yeah. But you would just attach it to another profile. You can do that.
yeah. If you're talking about just the graphical display, those book covers, that's not local. But if you do the search, I'm looking at Cheryl,
Yeah.
then that is local only. Correct?
Because the
Click on
I'm not
it.
sure.
Click on it.
Because I was under the impression the intent was to have whatever's being displayed on the local profile actually at the local library, and not then going out and confusing the patron as far as where the collection is coming from.
And really getting their hopes up.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, all these awesome Oh, my library owns two. Okay, we're in the Caledonia profile. Right, which search one of these ones down here?
Sure.
Yeah, those are just searches you would just add on Zonkel limit.
Yes, we'd have to create a new copy of the room and put a different parameter in the search string. But currently all of them are for the general collection.
Okay.
But there is a facet that you can use to then limit by that.
I just, I've got this philosophy that local libraries want that or that.
Could you go back for a sec? Because does it say find in your library above those, or is that a different section?
Find in your library.
Scroll down. Yeah, because you're even
saying
because it says find in your library, and you're right. Well, it's not even in my library. It's at Owatonna or something. It's an interesting point.
You can change the name, the title. A library.
Well, that's a good way to solve the problem.
Hey, the SELCO staff are not, they are not creative.
Forget about functionality. Let's move on to leave.
It wouldn't. You could add in the local limit, the local library limit to that.
Yeah, something we could do.
Something we could do.
Like when she asked.
I heard that.
All right, I've got a note of that.
Okay. I really have nothing additional to talk about outside from the surveys and how they've gone out and we've been fixing things. I don't know. Does anyone have any? Cheryl, did you want to cover anything on this?
No, I think we've covered it all.
Okay. I don't know about anything else. Do we just want to open it up for questions?
Does anybody have any questions at this time?
So have you been playing with it? Do you have staff that have been playing with it? Are you all waiting to play with it?
We're going to wait till April 1st to register our complaint.
I've worked for a while, not for the past couple of weeks.
So we load them up to website, so I guess you better take them down if some of the audio is good on them.
You put them on your website?
Is the audio so bad that they need to be taken down completely?
They need to be.
I heard it was bad too.
The tumor point where they could, they were looking at external speakers trying to get some more volume.
Well, what I will be doing
I'm glad you did.
what I'll be doing is checking on those and seeing what's going on there, so that if we need to repost them, we can. As to whether you should take them off your website, that's kind of a judgment call for you. I'm sorry, just one sec. I would make the caveat though. There's really nothing, there's nothing in those videos that I wouldn't want patrons to ever hear. Nothing at all. But do bear in mind, they were written with library staff as the target audience. So they're probably fine for patrons, but just bear that in mind. Yes, Pat?
I was going to say, if they're just basically for the staff, I'd probably leave them as they are at this time. But if you're going to put them on a website, then you really do need to change them.
Well, right now they are just for library staff. And they'll be on our website, but the target audience for our website is also library staff. So I will listen to them, and then we'll make a judgment on whether they're bad enough that we need to do something. I haven't actually heard them yet. But we're going to be redoing those videos as things change anyway. So we'll be redoing them one way or the other. I guess the question is, how quickly are we going to redo those two? And I'll listen to them after this meeting, and I'll talk to Rachel and find out what might be going on.
I put it on my to-do list as well.
Are there any other questions regarding enterprise?
Did we have somebody join us online?
If it's Ann, she might not be able to speak.
I can speak. I'm just choosing not to so that you can't hear the party in the background. I just want you to know we're making big personal sacrifice.
Oh, man. You gave up the Library Tech Conference for this?
Yep.
You better make it worth their while. Thank you, Ann. It's good to have you here with us.
I'm going to mute you again. I'm going to mute us.
Well, is there anything else regarding enterprise? If not, then we will move on to announcements. Are there any announcements? Or is there any further business? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.
So we'll put the April meeting as a tentative. So keep it on your calendars. But it's always easier to take it off the calendars, and you can stay home and do real work. And because we may or may not, after the launch, feel we need to get together, or it may be that we feel that things are it's better that your efforts are at home.
Are we also going to have a follow-up on the committee rotation?
Yep, that was Tyler checked, and that was for the.
We recommend 6 months out is what we said the last one. What? You suggested 6 months from now. When we had the meeting, I said 6 months from now, let's review this.
Oh, okay.
Since we had just put everybody on the committee, so we were going to look at it when it actually was getting closer to time.
Okay.
It's on my to-do list.
Remember.
Not to worry. It is definitely on my to-do list. I've got Tyler's chart, and I've talked with a couple of people about it. So, we're good. All right, go home and play with the computer.